All right. Hello, everybody. This is Professor Sheldon. Welcome to EDU354. This is a podcast for our first day of class. Before we get going too far, I'd just like you to take a minute and make sure that you have everything that you need. And then I'll introduce myself and do all the normal first day things. So before you start, make sure you have this first day packet. I know it's quite thick, but I want to make sure that you have it because you will need it for all the activities that we're doing during our first session. So please make sure that you collected this from the front desk in the School of Education. When you walk in, one of the front desk workers would have you sign off to make sure that you've gotten it. I just would like to make sure that you have this packet in hand before you complete the podcast. So by requirement, you would need it anytime before 1:30 on Monday, September 12th. All right, so that's the first thing. The second thing is that you received an email from me a few days or almost a week back, and that email included a first day form. That first day form is really important so that I can get to know you, so that I can place you in the best placement for your site base. So please make sure you turn that form in no later than Tuesday, September 13th. You can turn that in to the front desk. There's a folder there, or you can email it, or you can bring it with you at another date. So the sooner I have it, the sooner I can take care of your placement, and that would be really helpful. If you're not sure what to include in that first day form, or if you are just wondering if it's appropriate or not, please put it in. Anything I can learn about you to help you with placement really makes a difference. So if you live in a certain area, our site-based placements are going to be at Hanover Elementary, at Dibble Elementary, and at Western Middle School. So if location matters to you, you are welcome to tell me that. That's the kind of additional information that would be really helpful. The last thing is that we will complete our first class through this podcast, but day 2 will also be online. So make sure that when you've completed this, then you can do your homework, and then on Wednesday, you'll want to open up the next podcast that will be labeled Day 2, and you can do that. All right, so hopefully that being it is, I just want to say thank you for being flexible during my comps and doing our course online. I know this is not ideal for starting a family in our class, but it's just the hoop that we have to jump through for now. So I promise that I'm doing everything in my power to make sure that you are successful in this course and to set you up for success. And so this is how we are starting. All right, so here's our agenda for our time that we have. I officially have you for 2.5 hours in our online preparation here. So I want to start with just a little prayer, and then you're going to get to know me a little bit. And then we'll take some time so that you can know each other, which I know sounds awkward because we're doing this online, but we're going to do the best that we can. We'll spend quite a bit of time taking apart the syllabus. As you can probably tell, any course that has a 25+ page syllabus is pretty intense. So 5 credits later, I really want to make sure that you have everything you need from day 1 to be successful. You'll do another activity after that with our classroom goals and norms. We won't get to play this game during our online session, but we will play it when I get to meet you for the first time face-to-face a week from Monday. So on the 19th, we'll get to play our game. All right, so that being said, let's just start with a little bit of prayer. And I'm going to lead us in prayer. And I don't think I even introduced myself. So for those of you that don't know me, I'm Professor Sheldon. I do know a number of you that are in this course, and I'm excited that you're in this course, but I'm also excited to get to just meet those of you that I have not had a class with yet. So I'm Professor Sheldon. This is EDU354. As you can tell, this is not my normal mode of delivery, so we're just going to enjoy it as is and hopefully give you a good laugh maybe around that time. So I want to make sure you're in the right place. We'll pray together, and then you can know a little bit about me. So feel free to pray on your own at this time, or you can listen to the prayer that I'm sharing. All right, so Lord, we just want to thank you so much for the opportunity to attend school, to learn, to be a servant to your will. Lord, I just pray that you can bless this course. Lord, I'm so grateful that you've given each individual in this course the flexibility and the patience to have our first 2 classes online. Lord, I pray for each individual student's success. I'm excited that I have 2 sections of EDU354 and that we have just this great population of students that want to be teachers, Lord. And so I just pray that you bless each one of them, that you help them see their teacher potential through this course, help them have experiences and learning opportunities that just draw them closer to you and closer to their passion to teach. And so, Lord, I just turn this class over to you. I turn each student over to you and lift them up to you. Pray for them during the duration of this course, but also just in the duration of all the other lives that they are going to reach and touch through their learning and through their passions. So, Lord, thank you for being a good and awesome God, and it's in your name we pray. Amen. All right, so we're now a few minutes into class, and just a little bit of backstory about me. I was originally, my undergraduate degree is from Grand Valley State University in elementary and middle school math and sciences. So my very first teaching job, which I was so fortunate to get, I actually got the call that I was hired the day of graduation in May. It was an amazing day to be hired and graduate on the same day over at Parma Elementary. So my very first teaching job was at Parma Elementary, 5 miles from here, in 5th grade, and it was an amazing, amazing experience. So I've taught for a number of years, elementary and middle school. After teaching for a long time, I had the wonderful opportunity to become a consultant for Jackson County ISD. I worked for them for about 5 years doing teacher professional development, so training mostly in Jackson County, but also across the state, training teachers to continue their education, to implement new things. So my areas of expertise were curriculum, instruction, data, assessment, grading, and technology. So I'm kind of a jack of all trades, but only because I love learning. And so, which also leads me to where I am currently, which is working on my doctorate. And so I'm taking comps on Monday, for some of you that are listening to this, i.e. right now. And comps is a wonderful and scary thing all at the same time. Comps, they email you at 8 o'clock in the morning on Monday. They give you 6 questions, and you pick one question, and you have to write a 10-page paper by Wednesday at 5 p.m. and then turn it in, and you don't hear feedback for 90 days. So if you thought the MTTC was awful punishment for something, I think comps is that next level. So it's comps is kind of like MTTC on steroids. So anyways, you have to pass your comps before you can write your dissertation. So my plan is this semester, pass comps. Next semester, I get to start on my dissertation. So assuming I pass. So I'm working on my doctorate, and if I am done in the next 1.5 to 2 years, that would be phenomenal. I have 2 young kids. My daughter is Amari, and she is 3 years old. And I really want to be done with my doctorate before she enters kindergarten, because I really don't want her to remember mommy going to do homework every single night. So, but she's an amazing kiddo, and I can't wait to see what she grows up like. I think she's definitely going to be an independent thinker, and that will serve her well as a young woman. So that's my daughter Amari, and I have a son Wilson who is in 2nd grade. And he's loving life, loving school, has a great teacher, super creative kid, really curious about things. And so just fortunate to have 2 happy, healthy kiddos, and I'm very lucky with that, and a phenomenal husband of 13 years. You don't need to do any math. Yes, I'm older than most in this course. So that to say, a little bit of professional and personal in terms of getting to know me. If at any times you have questions about me, please just come and ask. I'm a very open person. You may have heard things coming into this course like it's so hard, it's crazy. Those things are all true. This is a very hard course, not because the content is hard, but because I know I have high expectations for you. I want you to be a master teacher, not a mediocre teacher. But in saying that, I'm also extremely accessible to you. Because I have such high expectations, I will always do whatever it is in my capabilities to support you, whether that means reteaching or extra time or extra resources or anything like that. I really, really want you to be successful. And I would never ask you to do something in this course that I wasn't willing to do myself or that I didn't have very intentional meaning behind. So there's no busy work in this course. There's no hoop jumping. It's really about your learning, and that's what drives what we do. So that being said, we're going to do just a quick getting to know you. And this is not your normal, two truths and a lie or whatever getting to know you activities, because this is asynchronistic learning. We're not all learning at the same time in the same classroom. We needed a little other way to do that. So if you could, in Blackboard, take just a few minutes. There is a required activity in the discussion board that says getting to know you. So what I'd like you to do is in that, just do a really simple post. It's going to be 3 things. 1, your name, which should be automatic because you're logged in your Blackboard. 2, 3 sentences or less background. So that might be my majors and minors are this, and I'm a junior, generic kind of stuff. But then the last one is the most important one. I'd like you to share something with your peers and I that nobody else knows about you in class. Okay, so it can be something personal or school-based or whatever, but share something that is uniquely you and that nobody else in this class already knows. Now, I realize that you all have been in class or multiple classes together before, especially with 350 in courses that were before that. So try to be creative in this. I would like something that's going to help me remember you, okay? So if you want, now is a good time to pause the podcast, go to the discussion board of our Blackboard course, which looks like this. And in the discussion boards, remember, you are going to click on the Getting to Know Each Other tab and then do your posting there. Remember, you're going to do 3 things. You're going to do your name, a little background, and something that nobody else knows. So go ahead and pause for just a second. All right, so welcome back. Hopefully you've already completed that task, and I'll look in and see if you've completed that. I'll look on Wednesday to see if that's up there. It's not like you're earning points for any of this, but you're with me for 2.5 hours, so this is how we're going to get to know each other, okay? So please make sure that you do that. Take the time to do the work that I'm asking you to do. It's setting you up for success. I really, truly feel like the more we know each other, the more we are investing in each other. It's kind of like this idea of social capital. If you invest in someone, you see them as capital. You're investing in them for a lot of different reasons. The most importantly is because people are important to us. But I also believe that the more we invest, the better we can collaborate with them. And additionally, beyond that, when we co-construct knowledge together, when we build things together, we soon realize that we're smarter together than we are apart. And that's really an undergirding for our entire course. We will do some things independently in here, but 90% of what we do is a co-construction where we do things together, not because somebody could slack off and somebody else could do all the work, but because when we construct meaning of information and context and pedagogy together, we then have a greater sense of what things actually mean. We get multiple vantage points, and we're smarter together than we are apart. So that's why I'm having you take time to do these things like getting to know each other first. So the next part of how we're going to spend our time is the syllabus. My apologies up front. This is going to be the long, boring, hard part of our day today. Okay, so I've broken the syllabus. So as you can see, you have your syllabus. It's in your first day pack. It's 27 pages long. Dun, dun, dun. 27 pages long, but I just didn't feel like I could take anything out and you still get what you needed out of it. So take the time now, put the time in up front to read every single word, every single page of this syllabus, okay? To do it all in one setting might be a little overwhelming. It's not about overwhelming you. I'm having you take apart the syllabus so that you see everything is hyper planned and everything is with the intention of your success. So I want you to ask questions if there's something that's not clear on the syllabus, okay? So the way that I structured this is I would like you to break down your time into these 4 spaces, okay? So I'd like you to sit down, look at the contact information, objectives, and the contract. So that's pages 1 through 5, and then page 27. And after you read those thoroughly, mark up the text, highlight, sticky note, whatever mechanisms of learning you need to do, do it. I'd like you to take a break and then think about what are the 3 key points or more, maybe there's more. What are the 2 things that you don't want to forget? So like, don't forget blah, blah, blah. Like, don't forget that you also have to have day 2 of class online. Okay, and then 1 clarifying question. And whatever your clarifying question is, it can be posted in Blackboard under help and syllabus. So I have posted a spot that says clarifying questions from day 1. So I'd like you to, every time you do a section, think, are there any clarifying questions? And I know it sounds hokey to say, if you have the question, then probably somebody else does too, but there's a reason why that's a cliche. It's known that questions are good and we want you to ask questions. And if you have that question, you're inevitably helping someone else, not just yourself, by asking it, okay? So the first part is this yellow part. The second part of the course requirements, pages 5 through 7, again, repeat this process. The process is valuable. Do 3 key points, 2 don't forget, 1 clarifying question. It is okay if you have more than 1 clarifying question. Part 3 is evaluation and grading, which I'm sure many of you are interested in. And then part 4 is the schedule. And so once you get to that part, you'll see every single day of every single class is already planned out of how we're going to spend our time. So again, this is a lot of reading. Even if you were just going to sit down and read it straight through, it'd probably take you 20 to 30 minutes. So if you walk through this process where you read, you process what you've read, you summarize, do your don't forgets, and your clarifying question, this activity is going to probably take you close to an hour if you do it really well. And again, you have the time now to do it, right? If you don't have time to do it now, when are you going to have time to do it right? So do it right the first time, okay? Try to read every single page of this. It will make a world of difference for you in the end. Now, that being said, if you find an error in what I've written, like I found one earlier today on page 12 at the top, it says that your claimant link is due at February 4th at noon. That's an error. Okay, so I will be fixing that. We just found that earlier. So if you find an error, whether it's grammatical or whatever it may be, please let me know. It's really important for me to correct those errors. I've proofed it. I've had other colleagues proof this, but inevitably there might be something missing or wrong. So just be patient with that. And again, it's always better to over communicate than under communicate. So let me know. I won't take it personally if you let me know that I need to fix something. I think it's important to take ownership of that and just move on from there. Okay, so that is our course syllabus investigation. If I were you, I would pause the podcast right now and take time to just go do that. So I'll give you a few minutes, just pause, and we'll come back together soon. All right, so here is our third activity, and this was a much harder one to do online than in class. So in class, we usually co-construct ideas around what do these class goals look like, feel like, sound like, what do they sound like today, what do they sound like 10 years from now, and all of that. We don't have the luxury of sitting in groups doing this right now, so I'm going to have you do it independently. And if you can see down here, our 3 goals for this course are professionalism, expert lesson planning and pedagogy. For those of you that may be not familiar with the word pedagogy, it's another word for methods or instructional strategies. So they're the professional instructional practices that are known as best for that specific course content. For example, the pedagogical best practice for science is inquiry. Okay, so it's a specific way of teaching. Pedagogy is a way or a method of teaching. Okay, so our second goal was expert lesson planning and pedagogy, and our third goal is purposeful practice and reflection. I think since you've all already read this syllabus really thoroughly, you'll see all these intentional opportunities that I've set up for purposeful practice and reflection. And you'll see that the inquiry stance that we can take as learners, right, that we're always curious about our own practices and why we're doing what we're doing, kind of the metacognition of thinking about teaching or thinking about your own thinking, all comes through if we take the time to be purposeful in our practice and purposeful in our reflection. So those are our 3 goals, and what you're going to do for this activity is just individually, or you are welcome to work as a team, but make sure you're posting your own individual post. Feel free to, copy it out and say, Caitlin and I worked on this together. Our ideas were blah, 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 as long as you're both posting it in your own post. So per these 3 goals, you're going to pick one goal, and then it's kind of like a mini poster. You're going to think about that goal through 2 lenses. Think about it from the master teacher lens. So what does this goal look like in action? What proof could I look at or look to that this teacher has reached this goal? So for example, if I had professionalism, a master teacher demonstrates professionalism by the level of language and vocabulary that they use when they interact with parents, administrators, and other teachers. There is a level of wisdom and expertise that comes through in their professionalism. And it's the way that they communicate, not that just they're using fancy words or educational jargon, but it's the intentionality behind it. So that would be one example or piece of proof that I could say that teacher was professional. Okay, so what would it look like for a master teacher? And then look at it from the lens of where you currently are in your educational career. So what does it look like then in our 354 class, and then also through site-based? So for example, if the goal was professionalism in our 354 site-based class, one metric for measuring if you're being professional or not is, are you coming early to class? And hopefully the answer is yes, because that's one way we show professionalism. So coming early to class, the other one that you could put in would be dressing professional. I expect a level of professional dress for class, because by the time you get to this point in your program, you should be perceiving yourself more as a teacher and less as a student than student to teacher. So I want you to dress professional. If a principal shows up, I want them to have a good first impression of you. And so, no jeans in class, no holey clothes or sweatpants and things like that. You need to look the part. And if you look the part, then soon you'll believe that you are the part. So you guys have probably heard fake it till you make it, but I want to make sure that you really believe that you can make it. And so one way we demonstrate professionalism is through the way we dress. I expect professional dress in class and at site-based. So that might be an example of the goal. Okay, so you're going to take time, either apart or together, however you want to do it. you're going to craft a post that looks like, here we are, required activity for day 1. Select one of the 3 goals, craft 2 to 4 paragraphs responding to, these are the questions that I just articulated on the poster, and you need to post your initial response by 3 p.m. on Monday. And then you're going to reply to somebody else and press their thinking, right? Do you agree that professionalism looks this one way? Maybe you don't think that you have to dress accordingly to demonstrate professionalism. And if you don't agree with it, that's fine. You just have to justify it. So your reply should be meaningful, clarifying, and press your peers' thinking. Your reply should not be shallow, vague, or ditto. And what I mean by that is, I don't want you to reply and say, oh, great idea, Sarah, that's awesome. I would consider that shallow and vague. We didn't actually learn anything. I want you to give good feedback that presses your partner's thinking or your group's thinking, okay? So that should be done by 1 o'clock on Wednesday. Okay, so again, I will take a break now. You can pause the podcast, however you want to do it, but now is a great time to go work on your class goals. So remember, our 3 goals are professionalism, expert lesson planning, and pedagogy. When we think about expert lesson planning, think about those essential elements that you learned in EDU140 and 350, and think about the difference between what a lesson looks like in those courses, this course, and what a master teacher does for their lesson planning. Okay, so that's what we mean by expert lesson planning. We're thinking about the essential elements, how they're developed, to what depth they're developed, all of those things. And then that 3rd piece was the purposeful practice and reflection. Okay, so I'll pause it now, or you can pause it now, and we'll move on in just a little bit when you come back. All right, so welcome back. So one of the things that I want to clarify for you is that in order to reach these goals that we talk about, those 3 goals, full of all those P's, right? Pedagogy, practice, planning, professionalism. We really want to have a set of norms, and most adult learners consistently follow a set of norms, even if they're not explicit about it. And so I thought it would be valuable for us to just take a few minutes and think about, and we're not doing an activity with this per se, but just think about what the behaviors are that we really want to agree to and expect or hold each other to, so that we can really get to those goals. So these are 4 expectations and norms that I think attribute to a successful student, whether that student is adult or not. These are things that successful students do, and there are parts in here that I think successful adult students do. So I think these 4 norms are going to be critical to you reaching and being the most successful that you can in here. So the first one is, we will have a positive attitude and be open towards learning. The second one is, we will fully and actively participate through contributing, listening, and showing respect. We will share the airtime. We've all been in classes where one person monopolizes the conversation and other people just don't have airtime. They don't get to share their voice. Maybe it's because they're on to the next subject already, or they haven't had enough processing time, but whatever it is, it's important to draw others into the conversation. Okay, so number 3 is, we will be specific and give examples to push our thinking. And although we know it may not be easy, we will accept that constructive disagreements are okay, and discourse is a learning opportunity. Not this course, discourse. All right, so discourse is when we can conflict with each other in a healthy way that really gives alternative vantage points, okay? Discourse is when you have almost like 2 truths, but instead of conflicting with each other, they can both exist in the same space, okay? In order to do that, we have to have really clear examples. We have to be clear with each other. We don't What I'm saying is sometimes discourse comes out as conflict, and many people are afraid of conflict. And really, good discourse isn't conflicting, it's extending. And so it may not feel easy, and you may feel uncomfortable sometimes, but I want your ideas, and I want you to share your thinking, and we don't have to always agree. There may be things that I say in our course that may be research-based or maybe practice-based from all my years of experience, and it's okay if you don't agree with me. However, I'm going to press your thinking, and I want you to tell me why I should agree with you, right? Try to win me over to your argument, okay? So I am good with that constructive disagreement, knowing that in the end, I'm going to learn more or understand more because we had the conversation rather than just let it go, okay? So I see discourse as a learning opportunity. 4 is we will take ownership of our learning through preparedness, thoroughness, accuracy, and integrity. And although that's a nice, concise sentence, this is probably, for me, this is one of the hardest ones because I expect so much. Preparedness is getting all your work done, coming to class prepared, doing all the readings. Thoroughness is taking the time to retain all that information. Accuracy is using it appropriately. And integrity, above all, is giving credit where credit is due and doing all your work with your best efforts. So those are the 4 norms that if we do these 4 things, we're setting ourselves up to reach our goals, and not really just reach them, but maximize them. And I really want that for you. So I'm not going to have you sign the class poster today, but in our classroom, there will be a poster up, and just keep these in mind, and I'll have you sign these when you think you are ready. So you can think about which norm might be the easiest for you to follow, which might be the most difficult for you to follow. Maybe there's a norm that you want to bring to our group that we should add to this list, that this list is not all inclusive. And if you think there is a norm that we need to add so we can reach our goals more quickly or better, please let me know. I'd love to have that conversation and add your norm to this, because truly we want everyone in here to be successful. Okay, so feel free to check out this list. Think about these 4 norms. And remember, norms are agreed upon and acceptable behaviors and expectations that help you reach our goals. That's the point of the norms. It's not about having rules because rules are, meant to be broken. It's really about these expectations. And I think you can do these things. And I think these things will bring us to our goals more quickly. All right, so I'm going to give you a few other handouts. This is not meant to overwhelm you, but just a little backstory. I want you to have these things. And then we're pretty close to wrapping up. Okay, so I'm going to start to go through some documents. These are all out of your crazy huge first day pack. Okay, and the first thing that you have in your EDU first day pack was your syllabus. So everyone had that. The next thing is this very large, very valuable MTTC study tool. Okay, so I would really, really like it if you took time to utilize this tool. Sometimes it will be optional, other times it will be mandatory. Okay, and I would know that it was mandatory if it was in my syllabus and I was required to post something about it. Okay, so your MTT study tool starts out and it has background information about the elementary MTTC test. It has test dates, locations, all those things. If you skip to the first blue page, you will see the test objectives. And this is a really critical page. So if you look at this page, it tells you that of the 28 objectives that are tested, there's 150 questions, 28 objectives. Of the 28 objectives, 16% of the test is social studies, 22% of the test is mathematics, 18% of the test is science. So that means that 56% of your test is aligned to the course content in this course. Okay, so the things we do in this course are hugely intentional, and I'm going to keep having you go from our book, our conversations in class, and the test objectives and triangulate connections. so that when you are studying for the MTTC, you're seeing these really intentional connections, and then you're able to recall that when you're actually taking the test. Now, additionally in here, so here's that test objectives page. You can see the objectives fill the next couple pages. They're quite lengthy, so lots of bullet points underneath them. I've also included for you the official study guide, which has some practice questions. And I'm sure many of you are very excited to know it also includes a full 150 question test. So this is the $29 test that you can buy if you are online. And I printed it out for you. So I spent my $29 for you. So this is 150 questions, and at the back you can see which questions align with which objectives and what the answers are. So you have an answer key and everything. All right, so actually on day 2 of this class, one of the activities that you're gonna do is an MTTC test analysis, objective analysis. So you're gonna rate yourself how strongly or weakly you feel about the MTTC objectives, and we'll talk through that some more. So that was one of your handouts. The second handout, you can, by the way, this is partly why you pay a course fee, because I give you lots of handouts and they cost lots of money to put together for you, but then you tangibly have them. All of these things are also available on Blackboard. So if you ever lose a page or you want a clean copy or whatever, you can go to Blackboard and get those. All right, so this are the state mandated expectations. Oftentimes students get frustrated because they don't know for sure, they're just not confident that they're accessing the right expectations and standards. So for example, in mathematics, we have the Common Core state standards. That's the same set of expectations that we have for English language arts. They're called Common Core state standards, so CCSS. In science, we have the Next Generation Science Standards. Those were adopted back in 2013. So the NGSS, the Next Generation Science Standards. And then in social studies, we are just transitioning out of the GLICs, the grade level content expectations, into the C3 framework. So all of those have been printed out for you here. And you also have all the web links on the first couple of pages. So inevitably what happens is every 5 to 7 years, mandated content expectations are reviewed and changed. And so that's why we have so many different, and they don't all happen at the same time. So like I said, Common Core came about in 2011. NGSS came about in 2013. The C3 framework became official in just recently, 2016. So you can see there's this kind of like cycle, and you know, learning and education is just never stagnant. So just know that in another 5 to 7 years, there's probably going to be another version of standards. So I want you to stay up to date. So you have this hard copy so you can always access it. But again, going directly to the website where the web links are really important. In fact, it's so important that in Blackboard, underneath course basics, I have included a number of things, including our syllabus, required text, forms, blah, blah, blah. But here's a link to MDE's webpage. So you can see everything that I printed out came from this web link, from this standards page. So you can go there too, feel free to print it out, but you now have that, okay? All right, so the next piece that I'm gonna give you or look at with you is your homework. Awesome. I'm gonna pause this for a minute and go grab that sheet. Good thing I'm super organized. All right, so this is your homework, and you have seen the dispositions forms over and over again from 140 and 271 and all those courses. So y'all are very familiar with dispositions. What I'm gonna have you do is a pre and post analysis. And one of the things that is a struggle with this kind of pre-post, well, there's a couple struggles, but the first one is you have to really be clear on what the rating scores mean. So I was very explicit for you what a 3, a 2, a 1, and a 0 mean. So a 3 means master teacher, as in you should be teaching other people how to do this skill. And it's pretty rare that students in a 300 level course really truly demonstrate a level 3. So just want you to be cognizant of that. A level 2 means you're on track for where you're supposed to be in the program. 1 is an area of improvement, like you want to improve on that. A 1 indicates that you can improve this yourself. So it's an area that you have some growth needed. You want to improve, and you think you have a way to do that. You don't need me to intervene. That's what a 1 means. A 0 means it's a serious concern and you seriously want me to intervene and help. So help you craft an action plan, help you get in touch with additional resources. You know that it's a huge area of weakness and that you really, really need help to get that straightened out before you move on in the program. So this pre-post, you're going to fill in just the pre-column for homework, not the post, just the pre-column for homework. And you're going to fill in the pre-comments, okay? And then just the 25th day of class, one of the last few days of class, you're going to do the post and a new set of comments, okay? All those directions are written out in a very long-winded way right here. So you can read all this again for yourself. But this is homework, and you need to make sure that you complete that homework. So when you bring it back, I'm going to initial that you've done that so that I know it's all there and done correctly. And then you'll hold on to it until the end of the year, and you'll bring it back at your exit interview, which you should know what an exit interview is if you have read the syllabus. All right, so that being said, make sure you do your pre-post. Oftentimes I have students either way overscore themselves or way underscore. Just realize this is a pre. So if you score yourself at all 3s, you're telling me that you don't need to grow anymore in the duration of this course. So just please be really intentional about how you are scoring yourself, okay? That's what that form is. The next part is your site-based paperwork. So you have 3 documents for site-based that you are going to bring your site-based teacher. So these come with you to your first day of site-based. This first one is your methods evaluation. So this is that super important purple form you read about in the syllabus that said if you get recommended on this page, then it's a multiplier of 1. If you get recommended with reservation, it's a multiplier of 0.75. And if you get do not recommend, then we multiply your points by 0, which those that know mathematics know that means your score in the course would be 0 and you'd be required to take it over again. So this paper is crazy important, and you want to be very, very cognizant of what you are earning and how your mentor teacher is evaluating you. So this is due the last day of site-based. This is also due the last day of site-based. It's another disposition form, but this one you don't fill out. There's a column for the site-based mentor teacher, and there is a column for me. So your site-based mentor teacher fills in the column, signs off on it, then you bring it to me, I fill in the second column, and then we compare this site-based disposition form to your own pre-post. And we have a conversation about that at your exit interview. Okay, so that's the second form. And the last form are your field hours. You're used to these field hours, but you may only use this sheet for this course. You may not put other courses' observations on this sheet, and you may not put this course's observations on different sheets. So this is really critical that you're filling all the paperwork out correctly. So you're going to take these 3 forms with you your first day of class. You are welcome to give your teacher these 2. And then you'll take your field experience one back and forth each time. However, or whoever wants to be responsible, it's up to you. another way to do it is that you hold on to these 3 forms for the whole time, as long as you're communicating to your mentor teacher about that. All right, so a couple other things. We are not quite finished yet. I know there's a lot more. In your packet, you have some additional readings. One is about mathematics. So the week that I put in your syllabus, lots of reading coming up. You might want to get ahead. It's because I'm assigning this article. So this is the article that I'm expecting you to read in combination with the textbook stuff that we normally do. So it is a lot of extra reading, but that's why I'm giving you plenty of time to do it. So you have that. Also in the syllabus, you notice that it said about 80 times rubrics and templates are found in Blackboard. I wanted to give you hard copies of just 2 of them so you would have an example. So this purple one is a hard copy of what I expect for your site-based journal, and it walks you through exactly what I want. As always, it gives you a rubric and then a template. And lastly, I even gave you an example of a past student's site-based journal so you could kind of get the gist of what was included. Okay, so every time you are expected to do a graded assignment, you will have a rubric for sure, usually a template also, and sometimes examples. One of the things or ways that you should know or to find that would be if you go into Blackboard, this part right here, you're going to spend a lot of time in assignments, templates, and rubrics. So you can see you have a homework assignment coming up, which I'll explain in a minute. You have a professional letter assignment again, but this is really what I want you to look at. Okay, so for every, you have 7 lessons that you're teaching. For every lesson, these are the steps, and these are all the downloadable rubrics and templates. Okay, so for your lessons 1, 2, and 3, you're using this lesson plan template, and then you're using this lesson plan reflection rubric. So you can see there, you'll teach a lesson and reflect on it, okay? So again, I'm very explicit about which rubrics go with which things. It's all laid out for you here. I'll say it again because it's really important. It's all laid out for you here. So please, please, please read carefully and make sure that you're accessing the right templates and rubrics with the right assignment. Very important, okay? Everything is uploaded in here for you for your success. Okay, while we're in here, you do have another piece of homework. So you can see this last piece right here, site-based letter homework, is referring to, it's a bright pink page in your handout. But what it's referring to is I want you to write a 3 to 5 page, not page, sorry, end of the day, 3 to 5 paragraph letter explaining what you bring to the profession, okay? And so you can see I gave you a little template here of what it might look like, okay? And then this is part of your required homework from today. From day 1, you have first day homework along with your disposition form. And then part of your required activity for day 2, so Wednesday, you're going to give and get feedback, okay? And that's this direction right here, okay? So that's required for day 2, and I'll explain that in the day 2 video, okay? All right, so I think that that is all of your additional other handouts. So just in summary, we did a lot in this past 2.5 or however many hours it took you to do. I really appreciate that you've been so flexible in allowing an online version of our first day of class so that I could do my comps test. I really genuinely appreciate that. So please be praying for comps and for me and all those taking it. And I will be praying for you to get through your first week of school. And the rest of the things that go with this class. So remember homework, you need to be reading the syllabus and signing the contract, drafting a letter for your site-based mentor teacher, make sure you get a picture. You should be reading your textbook, pages 1 through 16, completing the predisposition form, which was that goldenrod sheet of homework that said homework at the top. And then I will see you again soon, hopefully, when you access the Day 2 podcast. And then we will see each other face-to-face a week from Monday. So September 19th, I will see you face-to-face again. All right, so thank you so much for everything today. Again, I truly hope that you are successful in this course. And if you need anything, please, please, please just contact me. All right, have a great day. Thank you for 354. Bye.